sometimes people interchange the words Scotch, bourbon, and whiskey, right? So, I mean, there's a difference here, and so we're going to try to figure that out a little bit.
Well, good thing we have somebody here who can help, right?
It is a good thing.
He's a whiskey consultant.
This is great.
And then a gal who can also help with
Well, that gal is Jen Bartell. She's a Feather Our Nest organizer. Devin Coyle is the guy that we're talking about. He's
Hi, Devin.
He's a whiskey geek. Can we call you a whiskey geek?
I think that would be a fair assessment.
Okay, good.
You don't mind the label?
No, not at all. No, my adult title is retail manager, but whiskey geek, whiskey consultant, I'll take those.
Good. Okay, Devin. So what's the difference here between the three?
Scotch,
whiskey, bourbon. What's the difference here?
Your mind's about to be blown. Scotch, Irish, Canadian, country of origin.
Yes.
That is the biggest difference. It sounds so simple, but people always forget. Scotch whiskey has to come from Scotland, nowhere else. So great example would be this whiskey right here. That's Cutspeck. It's made locally in Papillion by the same guys that do the Lucky Bucket beers. It's a single malt. It's made in the same fashion as Scotch, except it's made here in Nebraska.
But bourbons, where are they made?
Bourbon, it's actually can be made anywhere in the United States. There is a kind of misconception that it has to be from Kentucky, but in fact, there's nowhere in legislation that says that bourbon has to be made in Kentucky,
I'm
Bourbon
from there.
County.
There's a lot of bourbon.
There is a lot of bourbon.
See, I always thought it had to come from Kentucky
and
as well.
more than 90% of the bourbon does come from Kentucky, but you're starting to see micro distilleries producing other products from all over.
What are you holding on to there?
I'm actually holding on to the Lucky Bucket's Cut Spike whiskey, and if you'd like, feel free to try this.
I've had this,
It's really incredible. Good. It's 2 years old. They actually take stills made from Forsyth in Scotland, bring those stills into Nebraska, and it's distilled in the same exact fashion that you'd get with Glenrothes Distillery, except it's made on a 1/3 scale. So they really are doing the traditional method. They're using water from the Ogallala Aquifer. Makes a really great whiskey. Yes, it is.
So do you swirl it? And is it part of the senses, right? Just like drinking some wine?
So this is a Glencairn glass. These are designed to bring out the best esters, the best aromatic components. You can stick your nose in the glass, but it might burn a little bit. So what I recommend doing
Careful,
is...
Mare.
No, it does.
What I recommend doing is stick your nose in the glass, open your mouth, and then breathe in through your mouth rather than your nose. So I'll say that one more time.
I feel like a fool.
Put your nose
Devin,
in.
I'm going to be honest with you.
We're going to be like Darth Vader together. We'll look silly together.
Everybody's doing it?
Yeah. What ends up happening is your olfactory processes it in a different way where your brain thinks you're tasting it, even though you're not getting any of the alcohol bite.
How'd that treat you?
No, it was better that it burned less than... Jen, how does Scotch fit into what you're doing? Like, explain Fontenelle Forest.
There's a tie here, right?
There is, yes. Okay, so we are celebrating our centennial at Fontenelle Forest, and we have our annual fundraiser coming up called Feather Our Nest. It is April 25th, and the fantastic Devin is going to be there with a Scotch tasting as part of the event, so it's going to be fantastic.
Awesome, Devin.
Yeah,
Will you have these or
So
others?
are all these going to be there?
These will not be. We are still working on which whiskeys are going to be offered. They did want it as a Scotch tasting, so we do have a bourbon, a Scotch, and American craft whiskey
And this
here.
is a 12-year.
And that's Pappy Van Winkle. You probably better try that because it might be the only time in your life you get a chance to try it.
So is this an expensive bottle?
It's not necessarily expensive. We can't actually reveal the price or availability publicly
Oh man, that's
because
smooth.
it's so rare. But it is one of the most sought after whiskeys in the world at this point, sometimes dubbed unobtainium.
Well, I notice there's not much left in this bottle.
There is not. Yeah, we this is my personal bottle.
Is it? And you're sharing it with us today?
I am sharing it.
Devin, so kind.
It is.
It's so nice.
What are you going to do with the money that you raise through this event?
So all of the money that we raise at this event goes back to support children's education programs at the forest, and that's what it's all about, is just raising money to help bring more awareness about the forest and children's programs. And there's more than just Scotch at the event, although this is great. Yes.
What else are we doing besides drinking?
Okay, so we're talking Friday, April 25th, so right after work. You know, what a perfect way to kind of wind down. Starts at 6 o'clock, and we have silent auction, which is when we're going to have our Scotch tasting. And then our program actually starts at 7 o'clock, and we have dinner, live auction, and are honoring a couple people.
Yes, each year you honor some people.
Yes.
So who are you honoring this year?
So Gary Garabrandt is our honored individual who has just retired after 40 years of service to the forest. So much time he spent there and did great things. And the Nebraska Land Trust is our honored organization.
How big is that property there? I mean, you can walk through it and you have no idea, but it's truly special in terms of the size, the heritage.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely fantastic. And all just, I mean, literally so natural. It's the forest, so it's 2,000 acres. Hiking trails, so many great things to see.
I really, honestly, I grew up at Fontenelle Forest. I really did. Best way to get tickets for this event?
Go online to the website, which I think is probably on the screen, and just purchase them there.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share with us, Devin?
Well,
Or
Devin,
we
we
let you
didn't
go?
get to
third one.
The Ardbog.
the Scotch whiskey.
What's the story with this?
So Ardbog is another limited release. We just sampled it when Dan Kroll from the company came in and did a private tasting for us on Saturday. And so we brought this as a sample so you can try it. This is the other end of the spectrum.
So, okay, I'm holding, what in the heck?
That is peat. So
Okay.
peat moss is just like what you'd expect, except it's harvested on the island of Isla. I actually got to harvest this myself, but they burn this and influence the flavor of the whiskey by forcing that into the barley used in distillation. And if you smell Ardbog,
Okay.
go take a sip of it.
Yeah.
It's normally a very smoky Scotch, but they're finishing it
Wow.
in sherry cask, actually Manzanilla sherry cask. So it brings out orange and tangerine and tropical fruit notes.
It's amazing how these each have such a distinct and noticeable personality.
They do.
Sometimes I
Wow.
listen to someone like you speak and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't, okay, maybe it's that subtle and I don't, but in this case, it is quite noticeable.
Now you're gonna have to kind of
Yeah, the flavors
Yeah.
in this are just, I mean, they're all over.
They are. You're
Bounce
gonna have
around
to
your
kind of
mouth.
shovel past some of that peat because that's
Yeah.
gonna be that smoky campfire-like
Very
character.
smoky, yeah.
But once you get through that, there's gonna be delicate notes of papaya and tropical fruits.
Well,
Yeah.
this sounds like a fun event.
Well, and
Fontenelle Forest.
informative, you know?
It is, yeah. You'll learn a lot. FontenelleForest.org. It's Feather Our Nest 2014. It's the 25th.
Yeah.
South Omaha Livestock Exchange Building. $185 for patron tickets. FontenelleForest.org/feather. All the info there.
Thank you for coming in,
Thank
Devin.
you
It's
so
really
much.
nice to have
Yes,
you
and
back.
thanks for sharing your Van Winkle here.
Yeah, and of course, at our booth, we'll be raffling off a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue.
Oh,
The good stuff.
listen, bury the lead, Devin. Some people want to
Let us
know
know
this
about that
stuff.
earlier.
Thank you.
Say that one
You gotta
more
get the
time.
whiskey through. So at our table, there will be a raffle for a bottle of Johnny Walker
Yeah.
Blue. Its retail value is just under $300 a bottle.
Great.
Nice.
Fantastic. Sounds
Thank
like a
you,
fun
Devin.
Thanks, guys. We
Thanks
appreciate
again.
it. Running in high heels is no joke. It's not funny. This is serious stuff. I know because I've done it multiple times. The explanation is a few minutes away.
And what Conan O'Brien tweeted recently that had us checking our own Facebook pages. Our Thursday tweets coming up next.